start? Yeah, in a minute we'll start. So hi everyone, this is Mahad from AutoLeap's marketing department, and the today's topic of discussion is going to be unifying your shop, connecting goals to drive success. I would like to introduce our much awaited host, Marianne. She is an industry coach, speaker, and the creator of the 3-day weekend system, which honestly sounds pretty exciting. Please note it's going to be an interactive session, so you can write down your questions in the chat, and Marianne will be much excited to answer them all at the end. So handing it over to our host, and thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am so glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me back at Amplify. And I just want to make sure that my screen is being shared. Can you see my screen and my
Yes.
slide deck? Okay, so you see the first slide. So let's see if I can, on my end, because technical difficulties are always a wonderful thing. Let's see here if I can advance my screen here. And okay, is it working?
Yes. Yes, it's
Okay,
working.
great. Sounds good. So, unifying your shop, connecting roles to drive success. This is about really a way to transform the way that your team works together. And again, I can't thank AutoLeap enough for having me. Unifying your team really helps you reach your goals sooner. It's a win-win-win, a win for your customers, your team, and the business. So I want to start off with a question, and we're going to come back to this, but this is just to kind of get everybody thinking. Is your team working together, or are they just working? So think about that. You want to put it in the chat, that's great, but I really want you to think about that going forward. So a little bit about me is I am Marianne Croce, and I am the owner and founder of Small Biz Vantage, and I am the creator of 3-Day Weekend System. I am a coach at Small Biz Vantage, and I've been speaking as well for a number of years. I've been doing both of these since about 2017. I'm a shop owner since 2019. My husband, Tony, is my partner, and he was the technician who wanted to own his shop. Very common story that we hear in the automotive industry. But he struggled with the business side of the business. So we put our heads together, and with his technician experience, the years of experience and knowledge and training that he had, and my banking and management experience, we thought our skill sets would combine. And one of the things that Tony said to me over the years is he thought that he really actually thought that he was going to work in the shop until the day he died. And he didn't think that there was another way. So our story is very, very relatable. Now, not only does he still love what he does, but he now enjoys taking time off and doing things and having the shop run when we're not there. So it's very, very common that I have owners talk to me about those exact things. I am very fortunate because I have an amazing team, and our shop does run without me there. So I'm in my shop approximately 5 days a month. And this affords me the time to be able to speak, to be able to coach, and serve on industry and non-industry boards. I absolutely love this industry, and I love the good people in it. So this is where my people are. So let's get started. This session is all about you. And there is a download, there is a handout with this. So I am encouraging you to get that because I know this is not a huge, long session, but we're going to cover a lot. And that's a worksheet that you can actually use with your team because that's what we're talking about today. Team unity, right? And these are the things that I'm going to cover today. Why team unity matters. What gets overlooked? A lot of times these are the things that we don't really talk about in the industry. Role connection and outcomes. We're going to do a culture check, and I'm going to share with you 5 practical strategies that you can actually use and you can implement. And then I want to share with you leadership, leadership's role in a shop, and I want to share with you an example of leadership. This really is for you to be able to gain some new perspectives, the way that you look at the business, whether you're an owner, a manager, whatever role you have in the business. So, the goal for this session is we all have to realize, no matter what role we're in, that the most valuable asset in a business is the people. So, building connection with the team really helps the shop become a better shop. Everything that I talk about, no matter where I'm speaking, no matter if I'm on a live or if I'm on, the free things that I do for the community, I always talk about a business being profitable, sustainable, enjoyable. So for those that don't know me, you will hear a lot in the industry and outside of the industry when people talk about your business being profitable. And I am telling you that for me, that's a given. That's a must, right? A business has to be profitable. And I'm talking about healthy profits so that you can pay fair wages, you can give people other things such as health insurance, retirement. You can give them benefits that they need and that they want and that they deserve. But what we don't talk a lot about is the business being sustainable because the business needs to be able to run with or without you, right? You need to be able to step away to take a vacation. If a family member or something comes up in your life, just like it will with your team members, they can step away for a time period if they need to. As an owner, you need to do that too. As a manager, you need to be able to do that too. And lastly, we want the business to be enjoyable. So I believe that they need all 3 need to be in place and they're all equally important. And what this does, it really does improve customer experience, the team morale, right? That's a huge one. And the success of the shop. And that is really, really important because we want to make this a win for everyone, the team, the customers, and the business. And when your business is profitable, you can do that. You can do a better job of that as an owner, as a leader in your team. So let's jump in. Why does team unity matter? This is not fluff. This is not, just sitting around a campfire holding hands. This is real stuff. Here's the reality. Today's workforce has changed. I've been a shop owner for 25 years, and I can tell you the workforce has changed within those 25 years. As owners and managers, if we are not flexible and adaptable and changing, we are missing a huge opportunity. So here's the information that I found with my research. 23% of employees feel engaged. That's it. That means 77% of people don't. And this isn't just within our industry. A lot of times we think our industry is a silo, but the truth is that in many industries people feel disengaged. So what is this? Why does this matter in companies? Well, when you have engaged team members, you have 21% higher profitability. That's a huge number. You also, with engaged team members, have 17% higher productivity. That was another study that was done. And this is really interesting. It's sad, but it's interesting. 39% of team members don't feel appreciated. That's a huge, huge number. 39%. That's almost 40% of people out there. And a lot of times, how does that show up? What I hear from people is a lot over the years. I've heard things like, oh my gosh, it's Sunday night. I dread going in on Monday. That's the kind of stuff. They don't feel like they're appreciated. Or thank God the end of the week is here and I managed to get through the week. That doesn't sound like it's enjoyable, right? So these are the types of things that we hear from across the board, all industries. So the cost of disengage to a company is 34% of your team member's salary. That's the cost. Now, think if that money was in the business, you weren't losing that. Think about that. What if you weren't losing that? What there would be for everyone, everything in the shop, all the good that you could do. So, this is based on actual data. And the real cost of disconnect is confusion, mistakes, frustration. We need roles to be valued. When roles are valued in a shop runs smoother. Efficiency, communication, and trust are three things that happen. You can have the best equipment, you can have the best location, you can have all the latest and greatest. But here's the thing, you need people to make this work. You need people to be successful. You cannot do it alone. And here's the thing, I've had shop owners on calls that were like, this is a lot of work. I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I'll just stay small. It'll just me. I'll stay that way. Well, then you're going to own it. You are going to be the one in that shop and you are never going to be able to leave and your shop is not going to grow. So if that's your choice, that's your choice. But if you do want to grow and you want to help your community and you want to help your team and be there, this is the way to go. Think about unity. Now, here's what I see that gets overlooked, and it's not really talked about that often. These are challenges. And the thing here is, I know a lot of shop owners, and I'm going to tell you, my shop as well. We have family and non-family team members. Can everyone have challenges with that in their shop? Because things can happen here. Family members can come in and be given unspoken authority, special treatment, and that could cause resentment with non-family team members. And then the opposite could happen. Say they are working their way up and they really have the skills to do that role. Non-family team members may just assume and not give them credit. So this is a challenge and this needs to be dealt with. Another thing that can happen is assume that team members really understand and know the value of their role. What matters in my role? Where do I fit in? How important is it that I do what I do? And, is anybody really noticing? Lack of team building efforts, and I'm talking about intentional team building efforts. The front and the back operate in silos. The thing here is it's like it's two different areas or two different businesses. You'll have the customer and front facing impact and then the back of the shop. We need to connect that so that it's not siloed. When we fail to connect the impact of those daily tasks, those activities that everyone knows that they're doing in their role, it really doesn't serve the customer or the business. And a lot of times, team members don't realize that. They don't see it because we don't explain it to them. So it's not only the things that are overlooked, it's also what's taken for granted. So disconnect in your shop can often start with misunderstandings. Can anybody relate to any kind of misunderstandings that you've ever had in your shop? Sometimes it's a misconception of a role. You know, Somebody could be thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, I don't understand what the big deal is about answering the phone. It's so easy just to answer a phone. And they think what they're doing is harder and what someone else is doing is easier, right? That's something that is human nature. People tend to do that. So an example of this would be techs feeling frustrated or rushed by the front staff, or advisors in the front frustrated because of perceived delays. So the techs are saying, they're rushing us through this job. They're not giving us enough of time. They don't understand what's involved. Somewhere we're missing the mark. And the advisors are frustrated because they don't understand why the job is taking so long. In their mind, it should only take X amount of time. So this is a really, this miscommunication happens. I put this image up here of an old game children used to play, telephone. Another version of this would be a bunch of people sit in a circle and one starts and whispers something into someone's ear. And by the time you get to the last person, it's a totally different sentence that comes out, that was said. And it's funny, we joke about it, but that shows you how important communication is, and misunderstandings can happen. So, one of the things I want to share with you is a story about what I call the blame game. And the blame game is really about disconnection. Disconnection, what happens is it slows down the shop. It slows down all the time when this happens. The front assumes that the back is slow. The back feels like the front is just, you overpromise all the time. And I don't understand why you're doing that. So, my question to you is, what disconnects have you experienced in your shops when you're thinking about it? Because each shop has nuances, each shop will have different roles. In larger shops, they may have more people, and smaller shops, some of the roles will overlap. So, this is very important, especially if your shop, roles are overlapping. What disconnects have you experienced in your own shop? And the story I want to share with you as you're putting that in the chat is a story about a gentleman named Joe. I want to talk about Joe's shop. His service advisors were constantly under pressure from customers. They were wanting updates. And the techs, in the meantime, felt really rushed and they felt disrespected because instead of having clear communication between the front and the back, they were operating in silos. Tickets were unclear, estimates were delayed, and there was a lot of finger pointing. It became the norm. This is the way they started operating every day. So when I spoke to Joe on a strategy call, Joe didn't really realize what this disconnect was costing the shop until he sat down and he did the math. So in this particular shop, he figured that he was losing about 5 to 6 hours each week per technician due to miscommunication. So now instead of blaming people, you're trying to figure out what's the root cause of this, and you want to get everybody on the same page. So with that, he said, in my shop, and that, think about it, even if we go with 5 hours a week, that's an hour a day just from miscommunication. He figured that that was nearly $1,000 a week per technician lost. So the what happened was the morale in the shop really dropped, and he lost a good technician. This is when he called me and we had this discussion. So he realized after us talking that it wasn't just a process issue that he had in his shop, it was a team alignment issue. So after our call, I checked back in with him, and when we did talk, he said he brought the team together and he clarified everybody's roles, and then he implemented a daily 10-minute huddle. He said in 2 weeks, he told me, Marianne, the tension really dropped. Productivity jumped. And he said now, he was laughing when he said this because he couldn't believe it. He said that people actually smile now when they're walking by one another. And I said to him, Joe, you're not alone. This is something that happens all the time. So the impact of role connection. Here, we're talking about outcomes. When you understand the role and you value what each brings, here's what happens when techs understand how their quality work supports the advisors. It makes a huge difference. Now you have this connection. it impacts the shops. When advisors understand how their communication supports the techs, they need clear descriptions on what's wrong with the vehicles, right? It can't be just check out, XYZ. They need more information. Mutual respect builds stronger workflow in the shop and better morale. So, here's where a lot of times I'll hear people say things like, wow, can you imagine this in your shop? All these different skill sets that people have. Can you imagine if the front customer facing side of the business was saying and thinking things like, wow, imagine what it takes for the people in the back with their knowledge and their experience, their solving skills to really figure out those tough repairs or the diagnosis. I can't imagine ever being able to do that. And then the back thinking things like, wow, I'm really impressed by the patience that the front has to help customers understand and provide clear explanations to them without confusing them with like the technical jargon. So a business needs people that have different skill sets and talents to make the business successful. Now, this is included in your handout, and I think this is really important for you to be able to take this back and share it with your team. There's a really good exercise that you can do with this. This is the customer journey. We're talking about the customer experience. I'm taking this presentation and I want you to view it through the lens of your customer. And this is really important because, well, again, now I'm asking you that same question. Are you working together as a team or are you just working? That's a good question to pose to your team. So let's do a deep dive on these roles and use this. So from the customer's perspective, I put in here 8 touch points: find, contact, vehicle, estimate, approval, repair, pickup, and follow up. This is the customer's this is their perception. We know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot more to it. But in this exercise, this is a way for you to make a list under each one to see how many different roles are involved with that. So I'm going to quickly give you an idea. So the first one would be find. Under find, this is where the customer, what they would do, how they would find your shop. Is it through an ad, a mailer? Do they do it online? Do you have online ads that you're doing? SO, SEO, all those types of things, right? Referrals. Maybe you have a friend from a friend or an account. How are these people finding you? Basically, who's doing your marketing? Is this something that's being outsourced by a company? Is it something that you're doing at inside your own shop? So is it inside or is it outside? So put who the role is, what role it is that's doing that. Because your technicians haven't even seen the car, but there are things going on behind the scenes that are affecting the profitability of the shop. But yet the vehicle hasn't even come in the door yet, but there's a role there. So it's important to find out, put that in there, what role is doing that. Really, really important. Who is doing your marketing? Now, if you make changes as an owner, if you're the one that's deciding what company you use, if you're making changes to marketing, you want to change it up, make sure your team knows about it. Make sure the people on the front line know about it. Next one is contact. How do people contact you? Is it phone, online schedule, email? Are they walking in? How are appointments made? Are they made? Do people just come in and you take the vehicle? Again, it's going to depend on your shop. What roles in your shop are doing that? Is the advisor the one that's answering the phone and answering the emails? Do you have a customer service person that's doing that? Does the manager take some of that over? What exactly what role is exactly in charge of doing that? You may have multiple, and that's where you start to see the magic happening here. When the vehicle comes in, again, this is from the customer's perspective. What do you have to do? Confirm their information, check in the vehicle, photos are taken, setting up expectations for the customer. Are they waiting? Are you giving them loaners? Who is assigning it? Who is assigning this? Are you doing DVIs, right? Who assigned the DVI? So you have to consider all the different roles that are involved. Is it a porter that does part of that? Is it a customer service person? Who's doing it? So depending on your shop, this is very customizable. What happens when it comes to estimate? Now, the customer drops off their vehicle. The next thing that they're thinking is they're going to get a call or they're going to get an email, whatever it is, whatever expectations you set up. And now they're thinking that you're going to contact them in some way with an estimate. So, how does that happen? Who does this? Who finds out the parts cost and availability? What if there's recommendations for other work, going over the warranty? All of that. The approval. That's when the customer is contacted because we have to get their approval once we have an estimate. They're just waiting for that, right? Now they have to make a decision. Do I go with it or do I not go with this? Well, who checks in with the customer if the customer has to decide or they're not ready yet? Who is the one that does that? And when they get approval, does the shop know that the approval was given, that we're ready to go, that we're ready to order the parts? That it has to be scheduled into the workflow. Really important. We have to assign the right tech or the right specialist to repair that vehicle. That has to get done. So, how many roles are involved under approval? And now we get to repair. Once you have the parts, the tech can actually do the repair. What was something else found after the fact? Now, does the customer need to be called back? Who does the road testing? What's your QC process, right? Your quality control process. Who's involved with that? Is it multiple people under repair? And then we come to pickup. What's that process? Are your vehicles pulled up or are they parked in a certain area? Do the customers come into their shop? What happens if they want to pick up their vehicle after hours? What are the ways that they can pay? There's a lot of things involved in pickup. And then follow up. After the vehicle has been picked up by the customer, how do you follow up? What's the process? How do you thank them? How do you let you know that you're there for them? Is there any way, do you ask for a review or ask them about maybe referring a friend? This could be very simple, like more customers. We'd love to have more customers like you. You're great to work with. Clearly define the roles in your shop. What'll happen is you won't hear things like, that's not my job. Because in my shop, that's unacceptable because we're a team and we're there for one another. So if you're hearing that, then the roles aren't clearly defined. So definitely use that as an exercise and share it with your team. It can be very eye-opening. It's customizable. So when we think about unified teams, the outcomes that happen, for the customers, these are the outcomes that we want. We have fewer mistakes, faster service, and better communications with the customers. So it's a win for the customers. For the team, we have stronger culture. We have less drama. Imagine that. And people take more pride in their work. And for the business, we have higher efficiency, better retention, and increased profitability. And I'll tell you, there is a lot that you can do if your business is more profitable. I can't tell you how many shop owners will say to me on a call, Marianne, yeah, we're profitable. We're doing good. I'm making enough, right? But when we dive a little bit deeper, they're not providing benefits. They're not providing health insurance. They're not providing retirement because they say they can't afford it. So that's what I mean by your business being profitable. To me, that's a given that the business should be able to do that. And if you're not there, then you know what? Get help to get you there because that's really important. Then work on your business being sustainable and enjoyable. So I want to share with you a quick little story about a team member that worked for us for years. An amazing technician and a wonderful person, a wonderful human being. And we were thinking about advancing him just because he had so many great skills. And what had happened was he had come to us and said to us, I have an opportunity. And he said, a family business, not in the automotive, actually wanted him to come on board. And he said, I feel like I have to take it. And although we were like, oh, we're so sorry to lose you, we hate to lose you, he was the type of person that would be successful in whatever he did. And we told him that. So it turned out that it was a landscaping business. And he left. We wished him well. And we said, if you ever have any questions, you reach out to us. We're here to support you. And then he contacted us after about a year. He kept in touch the whole time. And he contacted us and said, we're a little bit slow in the winter time. So I was wondering if I can come in and be a seasonal team member. And we said, why not? So for the last 3 years, he's been doing that. We kept that connection with him. And it's important to support your team in all different ways. So again, use this as an exercise for bottlenecks or communication gaps in your shop. Really important for each team member to understand how important their role is to the customer's experience, the impact that they have. So now I want to share with you checking culture, right? This is a culture check. And I want to tell you, when we ask these questions of ourselves, it's not always a yes or a no. Sometimes people tell me it's a sometimes, or it's, well, some people do, but not all do. So the questions for this, what you're trying to figure out is, where are you now when you're thinking about your culture? Are all roles clearly understood and respected? Think about that. Another question to think about is, do team members help or hinder one another? That's another one to think about. And lastly, is there open communication across the team? Because all of this is really going to affect your business being profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable. It's huge. So these are questions that are food for thought. When we think of team building that unites, it's really important because this is the stepping stone into leadership, a leadership role. And it really goes beyond what people are doing in the day to day. So share the why behind each role. Any type of role that's in your business, share why the role of a porter is important. Share why customer service is so important to the business, because every role plays a part. Recognize and celebrate collaboration and create regular space for feedback and for learning. When an owner does this, it's amazing what happens. You start to step into your owner role, and this allows time for feedback and learning from your team. Not you teaching your team, but actually you learning and getting feedback from your team. You do not have to know it all. Your manager is vital to you. All your roles, your customer service, your foreman, like when you think about all of the roles that are in your shop, every role is important. Your technicians are very important. You may have a diag, a person that has a specialty in one area, and you consider them a specialist. Every single person, every single role is important. So I want to share with you 5 practical strategies for unity. This is something that you can just take in your shop and you could start using. You don't have to do every single one all at once. Start with one. But the idea here is, what you want to do is you want to be able to really have people appreciate one another. So the role switching activity is shadowing to build empathy and understanding. Empathy is when you understand walking in someone's shoes. It's not sympathy. like, oh, I feel so sorry for you. No, empathy is understanding what it's like to walk in each other's shoes. And this could be as simple as asking a question in a team meeting each week about somebody's role. This doesn't mean that your service advisor turns into a technician. That's not what this is. This is simply having someone show them, explain to them what's involved in something, because involved in a repair, because there's a bottleneck and in the front they don't understand it. So they're just simply walking them through something, and it makes a huge difference. The second one is encourage story sharing. So an example would be an advisor sharing a customer experience, something that they're talking about on the phone, a tech explaining a repair process, or a common thing that customers don't seem to understand. So you give and take, and you're sharing these stories of real world type stuff. A third one is huddles or meetings. You do these, see what works in your shop, do them on a regular basis. The idea is you want to have clear timelines and updates so everyone's on the same page. I can't emphasize enough using tools. Your software in your shop is a tool. All the software that you have is a really important tool. When you have clear work orders, when you have clear DVI notes, all of that really helps with the process, and it really helps you avoid misunderstandings. So it really, when I talk to clients, when I talk to people, I can tell you that they're only using a small percentage. And the people that are there with software, the companies that you are using, they're there helping you to succeed. So take advantage of the videos, the training, and what they offer, because they really do want to be helpful to you. The strategy number 4 is respect the expertise, reinforce the value that each person brings to the shop and their role. So think about this. What would happen if customer service was gone for a month? What happens if we didn't have our porter for a month? Take any role in the shop. What would happen? What would everyone else have to do? What would they now have to, put on their plate? And more importantly, how does this impact our customers? How does it affect them? It's easy to think about how it's going to affect us, but how does it affect our customers? Really important to think about that, because now you start to see the value. Number 5 is celebrate wins together. Share stories of successful teamwork that led to a great customer experience. Think about something that happened in the front of the shop, right? And it was like, wow, you really caught this and this was great. The customer really was thrilled, and you had everyone's back. Or something in the back of the house. They noticed something, maybe that the front didn't notice, and they were able to go in and say, hey, I want to let you know this. And they were able to make everyone look great, right? So it's there, and it's about having everyone's back, being a supportive team member. This isn't about calling somebody out. It's being helpful. It's helping them. And what's really important here is building collaboration into the culture. So when we care about people, when we truly care about them, then what we do is we go and we try to connect with people. And it's not hard to do. You'll ask them questions. You start to get to know people. And people feel that. They're like, wow, this person really does care. And you have that connection. It's when you connect with people that they start to engage with you. They start to build trust with you. And only then will you have collaboration, because when people collaborate, they actually feel aligned. We're working together here to build something bigger than all of us. And they support one another and work towards a common goal, right? So when you're collaborating, instead of pointing blame, oh, we have a bottleneck here, and this is this role. This is the role of so and this is this role in the shop, and so does it, so it's their fault. No. What this is about is saying, hey, what's working and what isn't working? And what can we do this week to make a difference? This is not about a blame game. This is about people sharing what they've learned. Oh, on a phone call, I now do this, and I've learned that really helps customers, right? That type of thing. It's a sharing, it's a feedback loop, and we get that feedback loop and we use it all the time. Leadership's role in unity. This is important. Management versus leadership. This is something that I see for a challenge in the automotive industry and outside the automotive industry as well, because I'm involved with some other associations outside of the industry. They get confused. Management is about overseeing processes and outcomes. Leadership is about inspiring and guiding people. So the biggest thing here is don't try to manage people. You don't manage people. You manage the processes that you have and you manage outcomes. That's why a manager is focusing on getting the work out. That's why a manager is focusing on daily goals. Okay. But I'm going to tell you something. Nobody, no person wants to be managed. They don't want to do that. What people want to do is they want to follow and support a great leader that they know has their back. You don't have to know everything. You don't. And when you do this, you're going to see a huge difference. Be the example in your shop every day and reach out to your team for answers. They're there for you, they will help you. And this is a little bit more of high level, but I wanted to include this because I wanted to either get you excited about it and say, this is what I want to be able to do, or say, I'm ready, Marianne, I want to do this now. The way that I look at this is be able to pass the baton, like in a professional Olympic, relay race, where that person has to put their hand back and they have to be able to trust that the other one is just going to give them exactly what they need. This is what you do in the shop. You have these 4 team agreements. You're going to speak with integrity, meaning you're going to speak to lift people, not to tear them down. You're not there to embarrass people and annihilate people. That's not what you do. You're there to really lift them. You don't take it personally. And when I say take it, I mean everything. Okay? Put up that shield if you have to for your heart, your emotions, so you don't get offended when a customer calls and they're screaming and yelling. You're not taking it personally. You say that person may be going through a lot of stuff right now. I'm still going to best serve them. This way you can think clearly with your head. So don't take things personally. People have a lot going on in their life. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume that if someone is calling you up for price or they're arguing about it, that they are this awful customer, right? There's ways that you can walk around that. There's ways that you can get through that. Don't assume that if someone has all of a sudden started being late at work, that they're lazy. Maybe they have something going on at home and it's a conversation that needs to be had to find out how you can support them. Maybe it's just a temporary thing that's going on in their life. Do your best and do your best always. And sometimes, depending on what people have going on in their life, you know what? That day they did give you their best because they do have a lot going on. So be there to encourage and support people. So I like to share that with everyone because it's very, very powerful and it's something to definitely work towards. So unity does not happen by chance. It doesn't. It's really intentional and it has to be a win, win, win. Better team flow, smoother operations, happier customers. Really, what this does is it helps the team and the shop both thrive. Helps make your shop profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable. So I wanted to share with you quickly a real life case study. New mindset, new results. And this is about shop improved culture, somebody who focused on collaboration and communication, and then they got great results. And it doesn't take these huge, massive shifts. So, what happens is a customer actually called a strategy call that I was on. It really we talked about how the owner needed to speak to a brand new service advisor. The owner only had the service advisor for a couple of months. And the owner said, I'm really concerned about the numbers and hasn't been here that long. Yeah, he's on time. He's very pleasant with the customers, all of that. And Marianne, he thinks he deserves a raise. And I'm really confused here. I don't know how to handle this situation. So there was lots of room for misunderstanding and frustration from both parties if this conversation went wrong. So we talked on our call. And then after our call, he went to this person, his service advisor, and discussed how the pay structure and the expectations were. He said, if I wasn't clear, I want to make sure that I give you some clarity on this. So, closing ratio, how important that was, right? If a customer said no, we had to dive a little bit deeper. Customer satisfaction was another one. We want to make sure that we are helping them and the customers feel happy. Weekly goals, not only understanding the number part of it, but we want to make sure that these jobs are profitable. We want to make sure that they're profitable jobs. So it's not just a sales goal, it's also the profits as well. We want to make sure the gross profit is where it should be. So after he did this, the service advisor not only understood more clearly, had some questions, they had a conversation. He said, my service advisor actually felt more in control, and the owner noticed a difference right away. So they were able to clear that air, and it didn't lead to any type of frustration or resentment or anything like that. So the idea here is when you focus on unifying your team, when you focus on this, you'll attract top people, right? Strengthen team dynamics, improve efficiency, and build a culture that drives the shop forward. You're going to have less turnover. You're going to have people that are aligned. You're also going to be able to offer benefits. You're going to be able to pay well, and you're going to be able to give back to your community. If you have people in the community that are in need, set aside a budget and say, here's what we can do for the community. And that's a great feeling to be able to do that. So the idea here is if you are able to do this as an owner, right, you will be able to lead your team. You'll be able to step into that owner role. You won't be managing chaos. You won't be putting out fires all day. You'll be able to lead your team. And here's the key thing. Your team will be able to manage the shop. So the idea here is definitely transform the way that your team works together. That's the mindset around doing this. So I want to thank everyone for being here. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Anything in the chat, I would be, happy to go over that. And there's definitely a way to get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me at smallbizvantage.com on my website. There's lots of free resources on that website. I do lives every week and I do monthly think tanks that you can join. And if you have a question, you can always email me anything about this presentation. I'd be happy to jump on a call with you. And that's at Marianne at smallbizvantage.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for a very informative and I think very interactive session. Uh, Yeah, I've written down your website on the chat for everybody to look forward to if you have any questions. They can contact Marianne directly as well. So firstly, I would like to thank everyone who is a participant in this session itself, and we hope you continue watching furthermore seminars because we have many more to upcome. Other than that, I would like to thank Marianne again for giving us a very insightful session, giving a very deep insight into the topic of discussion. Actually, I think I learned up on a lot of things that I probably might have overlooked when it comes down to, trying a
We,
shop or running individuals.
we
But
learn
thank you
something
so
new
much.
every day.
Yeah, I think it was one of those sessions, and I think general consensus is that I'm pretty sure everyone enjoyed it, and the participants were sticking around till the end. So yeah, I hope everyone has a great day ahead, and thank you so much. Again,
Thanks for having me.
thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. On to the next session for everyone. Bye.